Thank you very much. Let me just light a stick of incense, do you mind? It's one of those things I do, lighting incense. The title of my talk today is The Light is Always Within You. So appropriate, this light thing, isn't it? This time of year. We have Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, and we have Christmas. And actually, we also have something called Rohatsu. Rohatsu is the celebration of the enlightenment of the Buddha, which happens on December 8th each year. Said that was the day he opened his mind to the universe and became a light to the world. Is this okay? Are we? No? Get it closer. I'll eat it if you want me to. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is going to be fun. We often feel that the light comes from on high, that is from God or the universe or something outside of us. But I don't believe that's true. I think the light is within us, always. Always has been, always will. But somehow we keep ourselves in a closet, and we have the lights off, so to speak. Because you're here during this time of year, and we're celebrating the light, it says to me that you are opening that door, or have already opened that door, and allowed the light to come in, or in this case, come out from you. I believe the light is your true nature. It's who you are. It's who you were before your father and mother were born. It's always there. Never been born, never dies. It's always present. We have an option always to touch that light and to manifest it in the universe, to manifest it in our personal lives, in our relationships, in our work, and so on. There shouldn't be any place where the light isn't in your life. That's really hard to do. On a personal note, the light, this business of light, is very important to me. It's like I wrote a novel called Morning Light once, and never published it. In fact, it's how I got to Las Cruces, but that's another story. Anyway, morning light is very important to me. I often get up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning and do my practice then, and watch the light rise up over the mountains. Why is it so important? I got shot in the head in Vietnam in 1966, and I got shot at about 12 o'clock midnight or so. And what I was afraid of is if I went to sleep, I wouldn't wake up again. I thought I would die. So I forced myself to stay awake. Didn't knock me out, the bullet. It would just put a big old hole in my head. But anyway, morning light then was my salvation. It represented to me that I was going to live when so many others died that evening. So light and morning light has been a metaphor in my life for over 50 years. Well, what is it, 1966? It's 60 years. Gee whiz. Holy cow. I'm old. If you didn't get that already. Okay. So the light is not separate from us, is it? This light, whatever this is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It's never separate from us. We Zen Buddhists believe in something called non-duality, that everything is one. Everything is deeply interconnected and interdependent, that we all are one, not two. In the absolute world, that would be true. In the universal world, everything is one. But we live in a relative world, don't we? You know, I'm sitting up here, you're sitting down there. We're separate on one level, but on another level, we're not. On another level, on a universal, on an absolute level, we are absolutely one, not two. The only thing that makes us two is the separation between our molecules, if you will, the distance between them. So too the light. This light is always there. As I said, it's manifest in the universe. I think it's what brings the universe into being, frankly. In fact, in a Jewish tradition, a spark began the whole thing. I think of that as the Big Bang, maybe, I don't know. It's interesting to me, isn't it, how different things in physics and different religions, sometimes there's a golden thread that kind of weaves through them all. And if you're astute enough, you can pick that up and see that golden thread, or what I used to call when I was in graduate school, a golden braid, throughout history of philosophy and religion. So the light is not separate from us. It is us, and we are it. We're not separate from it. We are the light. I want you to think about that for just a minute. We're not separate from it. We're not separate from anything. We are the light. Now, if you're the light, what do? You know, the Buddha sat on his butt for a number of days and got enlightenment on the morning of the 8th of December. But he didn't stay sitting on his butt. He got up and he did something. He went out into the world and taught people how to bring about the light in themselves, how to allow their self, their body and mind to fall away, and so this light would manifest itself. That's our task as well, I think, as human beings. We talk about peace and love and that sort of thing. Well, we have to make that happen. We have to bring that into the world. It's not something that happens by itself. We have to do it. Do it in places like this, where we got up and sang together, held hands together, pray together, those kinds of things. But we have to take it outside of the sanctuary. This light has to come outside of the sanctuary. It has to come into the world out there, where maybe somebody doesn't really care. And so we offer them something. Our generosity, our compassion, our patience, our understanding. So what is this light? I don't know, we talk about spirit and the light and things like that often, and I think sometimes too glibly, sort of rolls off of our tongue because we're inundated with it, and we have it in our books and our texts and our magazines and all that sort of stuff. The idea that we're supposed to be a certain way, so we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. Some of us do, or some of us try to anyway. I think that each of us then understands the light in our own idiosyncratic way. The light is very subjective. It's very personal. It's yours. It's like the precepts in Buddhism. We say they don't come down from on high. They're not like the 10 Commandments given by God at Mount Sinai. They are already present within you. And our practice is to unfold, is to let this mind and body fall away so that the precepts can arise and manifest themselves in your world. You understand? They are already there, just like the light is. Maybe the light and the precepts are the same, Maybe they're the same. But we each have an understanding what the light is, don't we? Some of us think of the light as the Spirit, as God, perhaps, as the face of our mother, our father. I don't know. All kinds of ideas can be put into play there of what the light is. But as I said, I believe the light is you. You are the light. You just have to light the light, so to speak. Pass the light along. In Buddhism, we have this ceremony called the transmission of light, where the teacher passes a candle to the student, and the student lights the candle off the teacher's candle, and it signifies a transmission of mind, that this understanding of the universe has been shared, and the teacher basically is certifying that we are of the same mind-to-mind transmission. Lots of different traditions with that sort of thing, I think. In many ordination ceremonies, that kind of stuff happens. It's about recognizing the light is within you and you've manifested it. So, another aspect of this is that while we have an understanding of the light, our own personal and idiosyncratic understanding, it's not permanent. It evolves over time. Our understanding of the light changes over time. Just like in the scriptures, in the Bible, God gives himself different names throughout the whole thing. And finally at Mount Sinai he says, I am that I am, I will be that which I will be. There's a verb, not a noun. So that God's understanding of himself is constantly, or herself, or itself, is constantly evolving. It's not static. Just like you and I. We are constantly evolving, constantly changing. And our understanding of the world, of our role in it, of our light, if you will, constantly changes. We should be open to that change, I think, and not resist it. For me, the light is something within us, as I said. It's the ground of all being. It is the wisdom of the ages. In Buddhism, we call it prajna paramita. Prajna meaning wisdom, paramita being excellence, the excellence of wisdom. The light takes us out of darkness. That's why we call it the age of enlightenment. Things like that, where the light shines down on us, or in this case, the light comes out of us. So it's the wisdom of the ages. It's pure, undefiled, and undergirds everything. Since it is everywhere and in everything, it is nothing special. So don't make the mistake of thinking that the light that you find in yourself is somehow special. It's not. It's everywhere, in everything. You're not unique in that sense. How you manifest it may be unique. But the fact is, the light is what it is. And it's always there. Nothing special. You know, sometimes Zen teachers kind of get full of themselves. Would you believe? And ministers too, you know. I'm not going to leave you out, Bonnie. We get full of ourselves. We think somehow we're walking on water. I don't know. Or at least that's how it appears. Or maybe that's how people project their idea onto you. So every once in a while I have to do something that takes me off that pedestal, you know, like ride my motorcycle or something, or go shooting or something like that, you know. Well, there's a Buddhist monk who shoots. Yes, I do shoot. And that's okay. It's my own manifestation of the light, if you will. That's not sacrilegious, although some people might think so. So when we strip away body and mind, we're able to touch this thing within us. And you know, language is difficult, isn't it? It's hard to speak without duality. Touch the light. You are the light. How do you touch the light? You are the light. Anyway. No special state. It's just this. We Zensters call it this accessing of the light, enlightenment. Enlightenment. Leaving behind the duality of the relative, subject and object separation. We abide in oneness, the prajna paramita of awakening. Now, how does one do that? How do you do that? How do you manifest oneness? Well, one way is, as Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, or probably still does say, you can tell something about a Zen person by how they open a door, by how they treat the microphone or the piece of paper that I'm holding. Do I treat it with respect? Am I gentle in my way? Do I care about people? And do I show that care somehow? Do I demonstrate that care? You see, all of that is the light coming out into the world. So enlightenment is not a special state of mind. Rather, it is a state of being itself, without the intrusion of thoughts and feelings. It is your everyday experience when experienced directly. When I invite this bell to ring, we can just hear the bell. Just hear the bell. No thinking about the bell. No, isn't that a wonderful sound? No, wasn't that harsh that he hit the bell so hard? You know, none of those kinds of thoughts. Let the thoughts go away. Just hear the bell. Be present with the bell. Thoughts and feelings take us away from the bell. Do you understand? It's one of the reasons why it's really hard to talk about enlightenment. Because enlightenment is an instant. It's a moment, an instant. It's like when lightning strikes. Has anybody in the audience ever had lightning strike near them? Bang! You know, that's awakening. No thought, no feeling, just bang, there it is. Or you're driving along and suddenly a deer jumps in front of your headlights. Whoa, you know, you wake up. And when you do that, you know what you find? If you're introspective enough, you notice the difference between when you're driving without the deer jumping in front of you and when the deer jumps in front of you. It's that difference that gives us a gateway, if you will, into touching the light. Be aware of that. Be awake to that. We practice zazen, seated meditation. And in that seated meditation, we're practicing really to create a separation between a thought and a behavior. Or thought or a feeling and a behavior as well. Put a separation there. So you're not automatically responding, just knee-jerk reacting to somebody who cuts you off in traffic and you give them the finger. Stop. So the path to the light is not a path at all. It's a stop sign. We often talk about the Buddha way, the path to awakening, the path to the kingdom of God, whatever. But that suggests that it's somewhere else, that we're on our way to it. But in fact, it's there now, for you, now, in this moment, right now, it's there for you. It is you. To see it, you have to stop. Everything, just stop what you're doing. So zazen, or seated meditation, is kind of like a stop sign. You sit down cross-legged or sit on a chair facing a wall and you're not moving. You just breathe. Stop. As soon as you have a thought, you notice you have a thought, you let it fall away, come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it going back to your true home, your breath, your breath, your breath. Have a thought, go back to your breath. Have a feeling, go back to your breath. Oh, my knees hurt, go back to my breath. Oh, my back hurts, go back to my breath. Sooner or later, what happens is this mind and body literally falls away. And there's no you there. There's just presence, if you will, just presence. That's the power of that stop sign. It's truly a powerful thing. So the key to touching the light that's within us is to approach that stop sign, is to practice stopping. When we stop, just stop. No more, just stop. We can listen, we can feel, we can see, but all without the distortion of our thoughts and feelings. It's much like cognitive therapists would talk about. A perception, we have a perception, and that perception turns into a thought. The thought turns into a feeling, the feeling turns into a behavior. The problem is that we have this set of core assumptions, core beliefs about ourselves and the way the world works, that perception gets filtered through, and it distorts it. One quick example. I was teaching a class, a sociology class at Cleveland State University once, and it was a small class. And two of my students got up and walked out. I'm thinking, they must think I'm stupid. I'm not doing this right. Something's wrong. So what did I do? I started using polysyllabic words, pulling out book references, showing how smart I was, right? They had to go to the bathroom. But to see the cognitive distortion, the filter I had in my mind, was something that was created when I was a child through my interactions with my father, who told me how stupid I was, how I couldn't do anything right. So for years I carried around that idea that I was stupid, that I couldn't do anything right. And as soon as somebody did something, like walk away, I would think, they think I'm stupid. So I would have to compensate for that. We each have those basic assumptions, those core beliefs about ourselves and the world. And they filter our thoughts. They filter our perception and distort it. One of the aims of practice is to begin to notice those things, to pay attention to those filters, if you will, and allow those things to fall away, to not act as filters anymore, so that we're seeing directly what's in front of us, and we can respond with compassion. The guy who comes up to the gas station wants $10 for gas. Is he a thief? Is he just conning you? Or do you just give the $10? The Buddha taught that generosity is something you just be. You just be generosity. You don't think about, well, is he ripping me off or something? You just give him the $10. If you have the $10 to give, you give. The dog barks, you walk the dog. The baby cries, you feed the baby. You do what's in front of you to do, seamlessly. I think I'm about out of time, aren't I not? Am I not? I don't know. Can I entertain questions or anything like that? Does anyone have a question that they'd like to, or an observation perhaps, or would you like to give a different opinion about the light? No. Oh, come on. There's got to be somebody in here who's brave enough. Yes, ma'am.
If the light is in me and the light is in you, is there an intensity to that light?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? Is there an intensity? I don't think so. I think the light is what it is. The light is the light. And how close we are to it is important. How unfiltered it is important. See, we always see it, I think, but not clearly. And I think it's our practice to let strip those obstacles away and see it more directly. I think. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think the light is what it is. It's there. It's all. Anything else? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Can you say something about the light in people that we see as dark people?
Dark people.
That have done things that, like my perspective, are just abhorrent.
Like Charlie Manson. Like Charlie Manson. Charlie Manson, where was the light in Charlie Manson? You know who Charlie Manson was? Okay. I mean, his family killed a bunch of people, cold-blooded. Pregnant woman, the whole thing, just killed them. That's a hard one. It's like asking, where does good and evil come from? Where does evil come from? What is evil? Philosophers have argued that, and theologians for centuries. I don't know, honestly. And I think that's probably the best answer, is I don't know. I think the light was within Charlie Manson, but he didn't allow it to be seen. And it was covered up by his hate. You know, the Buddha taught there were three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. And there were three antidotes to those poisons. Antidote to greed was generosity. Antidote to hate was love. Antidote to delusion was non-duality, was practice. So when we see somebody that's filled with hate, that harms us or wants to harm us, one of the things we have to do, I think, is learn to find a way to love that person. Now, that's not easy, believe me, and you probably know that. We're old enough to experience that kind of thing. But we don't allow them to harm us either. We have an obligation to protect ourselves and our life and our lives, the lives of others around us. But we also have an obligation, I think, to address it. And we address it with compassion. We realize that each of us has the capacity to do harm. I never thought I would be a killer, but I was. I actually killed people, a number of them. It's not easy to say in public. It's not easy to say in private, but there it is. It's a fact. You can be placed in a situation where you will do harm to somebody else to save yourself or your family. You just will. And that's okay. The precept against killing is also a precept for protecting. Okay? If I say, I vow not to kill, it means I'm vowing to support and enable life to occur. And if there's a threat to that, I have an obligation to stop it somehow. Now, I would rather stop it through talking with the person, through getting to know them, through finding a way to love them and care for them. But sometimes you don't have that option. And so sometimes you have to do something drastic, like shoot them. Now, that may be very un-Buddhist. I don't care. What I care about is protecting my life and your life. Okay? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Question, I don't know how to frame it exactly, but Buddha became enlightened. So how did we become enlightened? When is that moment? When is that moment? And what precipitates that moment to happen?
That's a good question. It's a. I'm not. Okay, Mike. Hello, Mike. I'm Harvey. What happened with the Buddha was he was sitting there for days and days, and then he happened to see the morning star, or what we call Venus. And when he saw it, something happened. He realized, not just realized, but he internalized, he felt it deeply within him, that he and that star were one and the same. That everything around him was one and the same. We were all interconnected. It was all one reality, if you will. Now, what precipitated that? No, let's step back. That doesn't mean it was special. It just means he saw clearly what was in front of him, all right? Without reference to himself. That's the important point. It's not within reference to yourself. So he saw clearly what was in front of him. Now, what the second part of your question is, what precipitates that? What enables you to get to that point where you can discover that the light is already within you, that you are already enlightened? You just don't know it. In my experience, practice does that. Practice of sitting still, stopping, and just witnessing, without any effort to change anything. Just witness. Just be present. And then to take that, as we say in Zen, to take it off the cushion with you, so that when you're in the kitchen, you treat the pans with respect. You just wash the dishes when the dishes are washed. You don't think about the coffee when you're washing the dishes, you just wash the dishes. So you practice being present, because being present is what enlightenment is all about. It's not about some other space or stage of being or something like that. It's not walking on water. It's just being present, fully present, and able to be compassionate within that presence. And the only way I think that you can do that is when you are able to see clearly what's in front of you. A person, a dog, a baby, a microphone. Hey, Mike, ¿cómo está? You follow me on that? Yeah. That's one of those questions that Zen teachers avoid. You're not supposed to say you're enlightened, because if you do that, you're not. That's right. Okay, let's not make fun of myself here too much. Anybody else have thoughts? I guess we're running out of time. No? Okay, are we all good? All right, well, thank you so much for your attention and your presence.